Welcome back to all of our viewers here on Florida Powerboat Club's YouTube channel. This is Stu Jones with the Florida Powerboat Club, and we are happy to bring back now more exciting coverage of that summer blockbuster event that we have every August. It's the Emerald Coast Powerboat Week, and we have got about 70 teams here this August. Our first event since a 6-month break due to COVID-19 crisis, but happy to be back on the water with our FPC friends as we now rejoin them for episode 2, where we are going to showcase our Friday fun run to Juana's Pagodas in Navarre, one of the big events on the agenda and one that everyone enjoys doing every year. So before we get started, let's thank our sponsors. Florida Powerboat Club's 2020 series sponsors include Deep Impact Custom Boats and their associated brand, Blackwater Boats, Nortec High Performance Boats, Midnight Express Powerboats, Myco Trailers, Performance Boat Center, Mystic Powerboats, Superior Communications, and Mercury Racing Wide Open. And as always, for most of us, it starts off here at the boat ramp at Marler Park. Now, one thing I want to point out, a lot of guys will put their boat in the water on Thursday and leave it in the water for the entire, 3 or 4 days that they're here in Destin, Fort Walton. But with this new facility that we've been using with the Destin Fort Walton Beach Convention Center and the Marler Park ramp next door, a lot of teams are just getting smart about this and just launching their boats each day and taking them out at the end of the day. Because if your truck and trailer is parked, 300 feet away from the boat ramp, it's kind of a no-brainer. We've got fresh water and 100-foot hoses and plenty of water spigots. You can knock yourself out. Rinse the trailer off, rinse the boat off, flush the engines if you want to for no additional charge. It's all included in that $150 trailer lot rate that we get, and we sell out most of the spots in advance as you register for the event. So it worked out really well. That's what the guys from Texas did, Chris Bradley's team with this 39-foot Nortec. And another team that came in from Texas, this is Kevin Kurkowski with his 35-foot Fountain. Nice to see him back. He's taken a little break from the action for 2 or 3 years, and he had a little bout with cancer, but he's a survivor, and he's happy to be back and feeling great, and he's so energized and highly spirited. Great to see him again because he was so happy to be back on the Emerald Coast Powerboat Week event after taking a break and got his Fountain all fired up and ready to go. And just about the very same time, I got over to Brooks Bridge Marina, picked up the cigarette. Remember, we got her all fueled up the night before, so she's ready to go. And I'm going to take our camera guy, Eric Kristen, around with me for a few minutes. I promised him a fast boat ride in the morning before we got started. I've got to go back to Emerald Grand to pick up Jackie and the kids who are doing Friday morning check-in right now. So this gave us a chance to get out onto the bay waters, and Eric was having a woohoo time. But great to have Eric on board with us. His brother, Ryan Kristen, of course, the owner of RGC Media. They're the company that does all of our photo and video for this event and also helped us out with safety management. So a big shout out to Ryan and his brother Eric for helping us out here on this Emerald Coast Powerboat Week. For those of you guys that notice that my Summer Tour 2019 decals are still in place, well, that's because they're foil and they're welded on. And now I'm back here in the Destin Harbor area where a lot of the teams are getting ready for the Friday fun run. I came back in here to pick up Jackie and the boys who have been doing check-in all morning. You can see there's a lot of activity around Destin Harbor, and especially in front of Harbor Walk Village and AJ's. Brett Lasso and his team Renegade, 40-foot Fountain, and a lot of newcomers to this event too. I want to thank the new guys for coming out to support the event, because without the new blood, we just couldn't sustain these numbers and keep these events as strong as they are. Brox Baxley and his brand new Nortec 390 center console, another newcomer to the club. And of course there's Joe Speckers, who's now doing his second year in a row with this really cool saltwater steel, a custom built boat. And a lot of guys just kind of hanging around waiting for the start of the event. And as always, we're really just waiting for the helicopter. We don't want to start running until we've got the chopper in sight so we can get some nice photo and video. It's a very informal format for the Friday Fun Run. We don't break the group up by speeds or any of that. We all meet on the north side of Crab Island. That's the most central meeting point really for anyone, because you've got boats coming from the Bay Area and from Destin Harbor And it's easy to find Crab Island, just rendezvous there and wait for the chopper, and away we go. And right on cue and just about a mile away is our Timberview Helicopters R44 taking off with our FPC photo and video crew. They're going to rendezvous with us almost immediately. That's what I love about flying in Destin. The airport is so close to all of our boating activities, they can just lift up and be on the poker run in a matter of minutes. Well, we're now aware that the helicopter is on the way, so it's probably a good chance to get through this idle speed zone as we catch up with Roy and Amanda on their 50-foot Hustler, but I directed everybody to just start making their way westbound, because this is really the only idle speed zone in the entire course that we have to deal with. And it's not really that long, but when you pull up to the Brooks Bridge, heading westbound from the Bay Area, you've got about maybe a half a mile stretch of idle speed zone, but you really have to go slow through here because it's a pretty congested area. There's two big marinas. You just saw Brooks Bridge, and then you have Adventure Marine on the other side. And you have a lot of these private condominiums that have marinas. So it's important to go slow through this area, but it's not for very long. And even when you do get back up on plane, it's still very narrow and congested here. So we suggest everyone stays, around 30, 40 miles per hour until they get clear of this area. And from this point on, all the way to Pensacola, you can run fast. Well, you can see by these shots just what fantastic conditions we have here for this Friday. The weather seems to be holding out quite well. This area is known for its afternoon thunderstorms, around 3, 4 o'clock. So it's always good to get out in the morning and get as much boating in as you can during the middle part of the day. And start thinking at about 2:30, 3 o'clock, start thinking about how far you got to go to get back to your home port without getting caught in the storms. And I know you guys just saw that jet ski off of my starboard bow. I saw him too, and we're very, very aware of these guys. There's plenty of them out here, and you have to drive very defensively. So once we pass through the downtown Fort Walton Beach area, we get into some open water where we can run. And this is an exciting part of the day for us. You're up and running now. I'm glad we kept the top up because it's so hot right now in the middle of August. The sun is out, and you just get fried if you're on the boat all day long. Great having the extra camera on board, the cigarette Top Gun shooting back towards the chopper. This is some great footage. And now catching up with some more teams as we now say hi to Scott and Monica James, who came all the way from South Carolina. They've got their new DCB M33R wide body, Twin Mercury Racing 450Rs, a new boat for them, but certainly not their first rodeo here with the club. They've been on this event many, many times for more than a decade in their 35-foot fountain, and that makes them one of 3 different teams here on this event who changed their boating lifestyle by moving out of their 35 fountain, but the other 2 moved into center consoles. Scott and Monica James are the only ones who moved into this really cool outboard cat, and they seem to be loving it. And an interesting little detail, for many, many years it was always their son Nick and their daughter riding along, but now it's their son and their daughter-in-law Mariana riding along today. They always like to make these poker runs a family affair. And let's say hi to another team from South Carolina, newcomers to the event, Brox and Bree Baxley, in this amazing Nortec 390 Sport Quad Mercury Racing 450Rs. I don't know, guys, I love the color of this boat. And no crazy graphics, just that red stripe down the sides. I decided to give this boat the President's Choice Award for the best new center console. It is just an amazing looking machine. And then I took it one step further. Guys, you just made the FPC 2021 Florida Powerboat Club Performance Boat Calendar. And now a very special welcome to a team that came a long way to be here. Greg Del Monte, and team hard to handle. It's Outer Limits SL44 Twin Mercury Racing 700s, managed by Brand X down in Pompano Beach, about a mile from our FPC headquarters. But a really big thanks to you, Greg, for coming all this way. I know it's a leap of faith for you to go all the way from New Jersey and have Jason bring your boat 650 miles up here to Destin. But thanks for joining us. The boat looks great, but let's now hear how she sounds. Well, they say that birds of a feather flock together, and I suppose that's why this next boat you're going to see is another Outer Limits running right alongside here. Greg Del Monte is Jim and Lynn Archambault in their SL43 model. Very similar to Greg's boat, a little more cut down. It's a sit-down boat, and it's got a staggered Ilmore V10s, a different engine configuration as well. But a great-looking boat that's been on this event year after year. Here's a couple that really travels around a lot. They love their motorsports lifestyle. If they're not off-roading one weekend, then they're on their Harley and with the motorcycle club the next. And then here they are with the Florida Powerboat Club. And how do they get around? Well, they fly their own aircraft. So that's a great lifestyle. Jim and Lynn, let's listen to those Viper V10 motors. And now we're catching up with another couple who came a long way to be here. They're from Oklahoma, but they do spend quite a bit of time here in Destin. Hayes and Carlin Wilson. Team Velocity is a Nortec 390 center console, triple Mercury Racing 400Rs. A nice, clean-looking boat. It's got the twin row seating and the big T-top. And they're very happy with the boat. They just acquired it recently. They spent the first few events with us in an Everglades, which was a beautiful boat, but it just didn't have the speed that they needed to keep up with the poker run. So they are loving this new Nortec. And here's a team that we've seen here at the Emerald Coast several times, and in a boat that has stood the test of time. George and Carrie Olson from Texas in this 42-foot Fountain Executioner drive this. It's got a pair of Mercury Racing 525, so it's pretty much bulletproof, a very reliable engine package, but with this fountain stepped hull, it's still a very fast ride. I looked at the records, and they have done this event so many times. They started in 2011 doing club events, but have done other events like Fort Myers and Key West along the way. But I think here Emerald Coast has been their one staple at least 6 or 7 times in the last 10 years. And it's another Fountain newcomer to the event. Brett Lasso and his lady Allie is on board. And this is a classic indeed, a 1988 Fountain 40 ICBM, some really big powered 540 cubic inch twin turbos and pushing about 1,200 horsepower aside. Got that boat just trimmed up and going running wild today. Great to see guys like Brett coming into our sport, very enthusiastic and passionate about owning old school equipment. So welcome to the club, Brett, and hope you can do many more. And an appropriate segue to Joe Speckers and Jennifer here on this Saltwater Steel 43. What an amazing story. 2 years now that they've been doing this event. It took Yost 4 years of Saturdays to build this boat, custom built in his shop out back. 550 horsepower Cummins diesels. And they just recently, since last year actually, hand-built this T-top that they added to the boat. So it's the first time we've seen it. Now it's fully equipped, and they have the entire family on board enjoying this beautiful day. And let's welcome this new team, Stephen and Casey Head from Alabama in their 35-foot Formula. They've got their friends Matt and Candace from Panama City Beach joining them for the run. Their very first event with Florida Powerboat Club, they said that they had a fantastic time because everyone treated them like they were family and longtime members. Stephen decided to name the Formula Toots because that's his nickname for Casey, and this is their first performance boat. And they learned very quickly what it's like to own a go-fast boat. After just their first 3 hours, they blew the motors and had to repower the Formula. Welcome to the sport, Steve. Break out another 1,000. They traveled 200 miles to join us for the Emerald Coast Poker Run, but they had so much fun that 1 month later they traveled 700 miles one way to join us for the Tampa Poker Run in September. Well, I think that was a great mission accomplished for our Timberview Helicopters, FPC aerial photo and video crew. Did some great flying and some beautiful weather. And remember, it's only Friday. We still haven't even gotten close to starting the poker run on Saturday. And to me, that's what's great about this Emerald Coast Powerboat Week format. You can get here on Tuesday or Wednesday and start to get a lot of boating in for as many as 4 days in a row. And here's that section I was talking about earlier. We're just getting out of the idle speed zone now. You can see the Brooks Bridge in the background. And now we're going to get back up to speed and start working our way westbound on the ICW. And we really got lucky, you know, this Friday afternoon, there weren't a lot of other boats on the water. Certainly very different on the weekends. You can see some of that commercial traffic. You're going to see barges quite often through these waterways, so you need to be ready for that. But the difference between a Friday and a Saturday here on these local waterways is like night and day. The boats really come out on a nice Saturday, and that's when you're going to see 3 or 4 times more traffic on these intracoastal waterways. And that's what you have to be prepared for. And as an organizer, you know, I look at the benefit for all of us and for the safety of the local community. I would really like to see this event moved more into September when there's even fewer boaters on the water and certainly less tourists. And I think that would give us a better situation overall, a lot more open water, and have the ability to run the entire poker run course without a lot of boating congestion, in particular, you know, the jet ski and the pontoon rentals. And here we are now arriving in Navarre Beach. That's the home of Juana's Pagodas, and a very popular waterfront boating destination for so many people. And they come from all directions. You know, they could come from all the way from Alabama just to come here for lunch, or they could come all the way from, you know, Panama City Beach just to come here for lunch. But with so many miles of protected waters, it's not hard to do that. If you can cruise at 50 or 55 miles per hour, you can cover a lot of ground in a couple of hours, and that's why this is such an attractive place to live if you really are into the boating lifestyle. And there's the money shot of Juana's, and you can see off in the distance the Gulf of Mexico, which happens to be very calm today, but for some reason we just never go out there. And the funny part about this event is it evolved into an intracoastal protected water event. We just rarely go offshore. And it is very hot, so I don't blame Tyler for doing his backflip off of the Project 1080 to cool off. And that's what's great about Juana's, because about 90% of the people that come here eventually are going to end up in that water just waist deep, cooling off and sipping a cold drink. And I really love this shot because it pretty much illustrates that it's not a mob scene here. And I hate it when it's a mob scene every time we go someplace for a poker run, and everybody else, all the locals or all the party crashers, have taken all the good spots at the dock. That didn't happen this time. You know, this is during the COVID crisis. Not as many people are out. I think a lot of people thought we weren't even going to have the poker run. So to be able to come here to Juana's on a Friday afternoon and have to deal with only 2 or 3 party crashers, that's a much better way for us to take it. We get more of that nice front real estate at the beach here to park our boats, and there's Gerald Brand's 47-foot fountain. And I still don't really understand how some of the locals won't support our event. You know, the other poker run got canceled completely, the local event, and we still came out here to have our event and still raise money for local charities. So I just wish that some of the local people would be a little more supportive, and even some of the people that came in from out of town, from Texas or from Alabama, that came all the way to be on this poker run but didn't register with the club. I just don't get it. Well, it is a very festive vibe here at Juana's all the time. I want to thank Kevin and his entire staff for rolling out the red carpet and really making us feel welcome here. There was also a nice offering from not only from Kevin, but also from one of our club members, Hugh Petroni Sr., who offered to pay for some nice sandwich baskets. You know, they did some pulled pork and some hot dogs and things like that. That was just guys, you know, donating that to the Florida Powerboat Club so they could have you guys here. So I want to thank them for being a part of that. Of course, this is going to be one of our official lunch stops the following day. On Saturday, we're going to have about 5 lunch stops altogether. And the reason that we have so many options for lunch is that Many of our restaurant partners had expressed some concern about being overcrowded or having too many people in the restaurant at the same time. So this was the solution to that problem, and it worked out quite well. And I'm glad that we got this shot of Robbie Eula going in with his 32-foot Spectre. They had some issues getting the boat here on time. And there's a boat ramp right at Juana's. It's a county ramp, very well maintained, floating dock, and a nice entry. So he was able to catch up with the poker run, halfway through the day and get launched here into the water so he could continue on the day with the rest of the boat. So that worked out really well. And vice versa, if you ever get into a problem, if you're here in the Navarre area and you have a marine problem, a boat problem, it's just comforting to know that you've got a boat ramp right here that you can use if you need to put the boat back on the trailer and get some work done. Now that's the shot I love to see every time we come here to Juana's. Like I said earlier, eventually everyone's going to end up in the water, and that's exactly what happened. And this is certainly a great opportunity to just buzz around the docks a little bit and show off some of this high-performance hardware. You really have a lot of variety on these poker runs anymore, especially this SL44 Outer Limits, Mercury Racing 700 SCIs. I had the very exact same motors in my Nortec Super V that I built back in '08. But the real stars of the show are a diverse cast of characters now, because from this Nortec 390 center console to these big high-performance skaters that belong to Jerry Swanson and Jim Duff. I mean, we're really seeing both ends of the spectrum, the very best of the best on these poker runs. And it just seems like it's not going to stop. So whether you're into a performance V-bottom or a performance catamaran, or even just a high-performance center console, really, there's so many directions you can go now with these club events and own the kind of boat that you really want to, because we've got a format for everybody. And if your pockets are deep enough, well, you might decide this one boat isn't going to do it all for us, so we need to have two. And believe me, there are many of you in the Florida Powerboat Club that do have two performance boats now. God bless you. And it looks like everyone is slowly making their departure here from Juana. It's a tough decision to make because there's really not a lot going on back at the home camp. It's going to be a quiet evening, Friday evening. We're not having the AJ's dock party. So if you wanted to hang out here a little longer and stay till 4 o'clock or 4:30, it wouldn't be a big deal. As long as you can get back safely. It's really only a 20-mile ride back to Destin. And there's always a handful of boats that are not in a big hurry to leave. But thanks again to Juana's for the perfect package, a boat ramp to use, plenty of docking, hundreds of feet of sandy beach, and of course, a great restaurant with live entertainment. It was a great ride back on Project 1080. The day was beautiful, the weather held out, and this shot here as we arrive back at Brooks Bridge Marina reminds us that yes, there's a little bit of current here, but more importantly, it's good to have a great crew. My son Max and Tyler, always on the ball. Watch how he grabs this pole before we hit it. That's what you have your crew for. But really, the guys here at Brooks Bridge, always on the dock waiting for us to tie us up. Floating dock marina. I can't say enough about this Brooks Bridge Marina as a home port for the Emerald Coast Powerboat Week. And again, all about that great crew to get the boat rinsed off at the end of the day, covered up, and know that she's safe in harbor for the night. Craig and Paula Ackerman doing the smart thing, getting fuel here on Friday afternoon, so they're good to go on Saturday. And they're going to be tied up at AJ's in Destin Harbor tonight. And a little segment that I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for, and that's a little more time with our FPC girls. And we did get a lot of time down here at Harbor Walk Village earlier in the day, thanks to Jimmy and to Ryan for getting all these nice shots. So allow me to introduce you to our newest FPC girl. This is Dixie, and she seems to be enjoying herself on this brand new 41-foot cigarette GTR Mercury Racing 450Rs, and this beauty belongs to Mike and Susan Pasco from Georgia, who are making it their very first poker run with the new boat. So let's give this time to Dixie, and I'll just sit back and shut up and enjoy the show, like you guys. Well, I enjoyed meeting Dixie, and she was wonderful to work with, so we hope we see her again on the next Emerald Coast Powerboat Week. In the meantime, it is getting close to the magic hour, guys, at the end of the day, when we still have a lot of decisions about what we want to do with the rest of Friday, because the weather has held out. No storms, no thunderstorms or anything. Beautiful blue skies, and it's still very warm out. Noriego Point here in Destin Harbor is your best option, and we had dozens of boats come down here. This is a very popular place to just hang out at the end of the day, and you can see why. You have a constant stream of boats going by, but the one thing that I failed to remind you guys about is just the quality of the sand here. Sugary soft and easy on the bare feet and easy on the keel of the boat. But if you've had enough sand and salt water, well, the Grand Vista level here where the pool is at Emerald Grand is another great alternative. Always a vibrant and festive atmosphere here, and plenty of options for happy hour here at Harbor Walk Village right on your doorstep. Now we're going to show you a few of the boats that manage to get spots here at Harbor Walk Village. Very difficult ticket though, because there's a lot of charter boats here that stay here on a regular basis, and it's becoming more and more difficult for the Florida Powerboat Club to secure transient dockage at Harbor Walk Village. But thanks to AJ's, they were able to accommodate us on the inside basin. They would normally give us a lot more dockage here at AJ's, but also because of COVID-19, they had decided not to do the AJ's Friday night party. Of course, that didn't stop us from hanging out at AJ's, but there were no formal plans or any kind of an AJ's sponsored party for the club, and they apologize for that because, believe me, they are all about this poker run, and you can see why. We understand that businesses have to comply with the CDC guidelines, and it's more important that they stay out of trouble and they do the right thing. But meanwhile, the show must go on, and I credit all of our poker run sponsors for bringing some of these incredible machines like this 36-foot Glass Stream Diamond Series edition, which was built really purposely for the poker run community, and you can see how nicely it's set up. And special thanks to Mystic Powerboats for coming on board as a Florida Powerboat Club 2020 series sponsor. They had a brand new 42 center console on display here at AJ's, and right alongside that new 40-foot Mystic Cat, Team Sweetwater Landing. And of course, backed by a popular demand every year, Team Black Diamond, who always puts on a great show. These are all local boats here to the Destin area, and we had Derek bring over the big 52-foot MTI Black Diamond, and there's that 6-carat, the very first cigarette 59 Tirana ever built, powered by 6 Mercury Racing 450Rs. Guys, it doesn't get much better than this. Now, there are 2 other members to this Team Black Diamond family that aren't here right now, but that's Black Diamond Express is a 34-foot MTI. It's powered by twin Mercury Racing 450Rs. And a new addition to the family is Team 1 Carat, and that is a Bell 505 Jet Ranger 10. We're going to see that helicopter and all 3 of these boats running together on the Saturday poker night. Well, I would say by these very festive poker run teams, everyone was really very ready for this Emerald Coast Powerboat Week to come back in August. Remember, we've been closed down for about 5 or 6 months with no poker runs really anywhere. So these teams were ready to go, and the good news is we have the entire Saturday poker run ahead of us and several more episodes with feature coverage of the Emerald Coast Powerboat Week. The bad news is, guys, well, we have hit our 30-minute mark, and we're going to close off on this episode number 2. We hope you enjoyed the coverage of today's Friday fun run with an amazing fleet of offshore powerboats and our very spirited Florida Powerboat Club members. Remember to keep watching us here on the Florida Powerboat Club's YouTube channel, and the best way to do that is subscribe to the channel and be sure to click that notification bell so you will get all of the updates every time a new episode is released. You can check us out online at flpowerboat.com, where we feature all of the information about upcoming poker run events, including the 28th annual Key West Offshore Poker Run, scheduled for November the 11th to the 15th, with already 170 registered teams. You can follow us on Facebook at Florida Powerboat Club, along with Twitter and these Instagram pages. I would like to thank all of our YouTube viewers for your very positive and uplifting comments. I really enjoy reading them, but if you'd like to reach me directly for any particular comment or question about the club, just email me directly at stu@flpowerboat.com. So we are going to sign off now. This is Stu Jones, president of the Florida Powerboat Club at our studios in Pompano Beach, Florida, along with our producer Ryan McCoy. Guys, if you're out there on the waterways, be sure to wear your life jackets when the time is right. Learn and know the rules of the road, and remember that only you are responsible for safe operation of your powerboat. Bye for now, guys.